Okay, hey guys, I'm here at the EA stand with Steve from Slightly Mad Studios.
Hi guys.
Thanks for joining us today, Steve.
You're most welcome.
Cool. So give us a quick recap on what Need for Speed Shift is all about for maybe those who aren't too familiar with this new take on the series, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So Need for Speed Shift is very much a revival of the series. We're bringing back some of the aspects of the series that's got lost along the way, things like first-person driving view with the cockpit, replays and all that. But more than that, far more than that, what we've done with Need for Speed Shift is we're trying to draw the player very much into the game by creating what we call this first-person racing experience and dropping you in the cockpit of the car itself. What we've done is we've modeled a highly detailed character in the car, and then basically his viewpoint becomes yours, and having a camera attached to his head, so the way he moves, going over little bumps, accelerating, braking, shaking through turns, all of that becomes your viewpoint. You'll find effects like, for example, when you're going really fast, your point of view, focusing on the road ahead, you'll get like tunnel vision, the graphics near you will start blurring and all that. And and when you crash, it's sort of like a really intense experience with lots of shaking going on, blurring. You'll hear the guy's heartbeat eventually if it's a severe enough impact. So very much creating this intense first-person recreation of being a race driver.
So the racing simulation category is kind of really chock-a-block. There's so many titles out there. How did you guys decide that this was the approach you wanted to do, and how did you kind of convince, I guess EA, to decide to trust you guys with that, with Need for Speed and kind of with this direction of the game?
Well, so yeah, basically the Need for Speed franchise originally, of course, started off as sort of like a simulation game with road and track back on the 3DO, and it's like changed over time and became more and more like an arcade-ish experience. And there's a lot of like disgruntled fans of the Need for Speed franchise who really like that. But on the other hand, there's a lot of people who really like the new style. So it was a really wise move of EA to say, look, you know what, let's do this. Let's cater to all audiences. Let's take this apart and make a really, really good, instead of trying to find something that's like a common denominator, let's make a game that totally caters to the audience that likes intense racing experience games, where it's far more of a realistic, authentic experience, and then do separately the arcade type games like what they're doing with Nitro, for example. So Need for Speed Shift was basically born out of that, and what we've been able to bring to the table is an absolutely total next-gen physics engine that is very authentic, gives you real immersive handling on the cars, feels like you're driving a real car. For example, when we created the cars, we worked very closely with the manufacturers, and our whole goal was not to just create a car that looks good, but it had to sound like the real thing and it had to handle like the real thing. And that's the only way that you can really pull a player into this full immersive experience and create that level of that suspense of disbelief.
Yeah. So the game comes out in September. What kind of part of development are you up to now, and kind of what's left to finish on the game?
Well, we focus very much on console versions first because they got to go through first-party approval and all that, of course. So what we're doing right now is just polishing up the PC version and ensuring that we get it out at the same time as the consoles.
Okay. Brilliant. So that's Need for Speed Shift. You can find out more about the game if you visit GameSpot.com, and make sure you check the site for all of our Gamescom coverage.